Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we need to begin. First of all, as we start this evening's festivities and activities, first of all, we want to thank all of you for attending. We've been on a 3-month journey, and many of you have been here working, touring buildings, sending comments, doing all those things that working through the process with us, and we want to say thank you for that. And we also want to say to our for school board members who are here, thank you for having the vision to allow us to move forward so we could produce the best and possible educational system for our young people. We want to thank the leadership of the district administration. We want to thank our building principals and teachers and for coming and making sure that the message has gone out about our meetings. And most of all, we want to thank our parents, patrons, interested community members for saying, hey, this is important. We need to be a piece of this. We need to be part of this. We need to definitely make sure that happens. And we've had some goals that we've met. And so for those who are here tonight and those who have continued to tour buildings and continue to have input and to continue to share your thoughts, first of all, I just want to give all of us a round of applause because we deserve it. We've been working hard. So again, we want to thank you. And while you're at your table, if there's people you don't know, please introduce yourself. There's name tags on the table that if you want to label yourself and put a name there, that would be great. And then also there's a complete information sheet that we need you to complete. It has your name, phone number, contact information. So if you would do that and take care of that, and if you're sitting with people that you don't know at your table, please introduce yourself. Please introduce yourself and make sure you fill out your sheet where you have individuals. Make sure all names and numbers and correct information is there, and then also if you want to put on a name tag, that would be fantastic. At this time, we want to introduce one of the lead individuals from Unicom, and that's Dr. Rod Wright, and he's going to come and begin our program. And again, let's give them a round of applause. We really appreciate them coming and sharing with us.
Good evening. Can you all hear? Good evening. I guess you can't hear. I am here to give you a brief overview of a public opinion survey that was recently completed in the St. Joseph School District. I'm going to share with you all of the results, but not talk about nearly all of it because it'll take way too long. I'm going to take about 5, at the most 10 minutes to highlight a few things. But you have the complete survey in front of you, and I wanted to let you know that. And I'm not going to talk about every question because it would just take too long, and so I'm going to highlight a few things. One of the things that when I made a presentation to the Board of Education about the survey results, and this is kind of an overall theme about the survey results, is that in terms of how the community evaluates the school district here in the St. Joseph community, I kept using the phrase kind of on the high side of average. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of communities that feel a lot worse about their school districts in here. There's a lot that are kind of in the middle. We're a little bit above that in terms of positive evaluations for the district. That's not to say in some communities people aren't more positive about the direction of their schools. Again, the phrase I'm using is kind of the high side of average. And let's see if I can make this move. Just in terms of some logistical things, the survey was a sample size of 502 completed interviews. It was taken off a voter registration list, kind of a good list to draw a sample off of. And for the statistical geeks in the audience, I'm sure there's one at every table, the margin of error on a sample size of 500 interviews is plus or minus 4.4% at the 95% confidence interval. It is important to know about the margin of error that it's on a bell-shaped curve in terms of how it's distributed, meaning a lot more of it is a percent off under the thick part of the bell rather than 4% off, which is on the tail of the bell. First thing that I want to talk about is just some perceptions of the district. I need to push this button a little bit better. This is a question that is largely taken off the Gallup poll, where people are asked to evaluate, in this case, schools in Missouri as either an A, B, C, D, or F. You'll see that 40.1 graded schools in Missouri as an A or a B. I'll let you read the C, Ds, and Fs. And then the next slide shows similar numbers for how people regarded the schools here in St. Joe, considerably more. Over 50%, 52.7 graded the schools an A or a B. You can see there's quite a chunk of them, 27% in the Cs, not many Ds and not many Fs. Next thing, we broke down having to evaluate the school district not by grades but conditions in the district. And I want to point out on this slide, because it's characteristic of a lot of them that you'll see from this point on. First column is excellent. Second column is people combined rating the condition, let's say providing a safe learning environment, as an excellent or good combined. So the 17.1% is in the 83.1%. So don't try to add them up, because you'll get, and what's missing on there are the not so goods and poors and don't know, and those are in the final report that's available with the district. The other thing I want to point out, and again, I'm not going to say this again, but it's characteristic of all the slides, is that these are rank ordered by the percent of people grading something excellent, and the question number that you see before the question is the actual order in which the questions were asked on the survey, unless they were rotated. So that's what that number refers to. As you can see, what they graded most highly was providing a safe learning environment. A little later in the survey, you're going to see that was also the top priority for making improvements. And I know at some level that may not make sense, that what we're doing the best at is what we want to make a high priority and doing more of. But when it comes to safety, obviously there's never enough. To some degree or another, that's true about technology also. I won't read the rest of these to you. On the communications issues, again, compared to other districts, the evaluation tends to be on the high side of average, to use that phrase again. On the next page, there are more of these. About halfway down that list is providing school buildings that are in good repair and physical condition. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. 64% say that the district's doing an excellent or good job in that area. Not too many people are saying excellent, though. So clearly, I think that there's some one, room for improvement in that area, but two, I would also say that there may not be the awareness of some of the challenges facing the buildings that we would like to see. Next, we had some questions asking people to rate the performance of district officials, teachers, superintendent, principals, and the Board of Education. Again, these numbers tend to be on the high side of average, and the difference you see between teachers, superintendent, principals, and Board of Education, that you see the differences on those percents on the combined excellent or good, they tend to be very characteristic of the pattern you see in every school district that we survey in, and that's literally hundreds of districts where people like the teachers the most and the elected officials the least, and that would be, and here 62% I want to say is a good number for a city council or Board of Education. It is very characteristic to see that numbers in the 40s and low 50s anymore in most communities, sometimes even in the 30s, particularly with what's going on in education right now with cutbacks and other things that are occurring in many other districts. We asked people to evaluate the quality of performance broken down by elementary, high school, and middle school. And again, these are the typical patterns that you see in other communities where they rate the elementary schools the highest, high schools next, and middle schools the lowest, and that's very common. It's not what you might expect being elementary, middle, and then high. This is the pattern that's normal, and my theory about that always is that that's just the age of kids, the middle school, that we tend to have problems with them, so we sort of take it out on the schools in terms of how we evaluate them a little bit. Next question that you're going to look at was just simply a question about the awareness of PACT. About 49% said that they were very or somewhat familiar. About the same percent said not very or not at all. A pretty